That's right, Edith.
Yes,
Now you better fetch the ice bucket.
yes,
Did you manage to get the ice out of the little tin trays?
yes. I had a bit of trouble though, but it's all right.
And you filled the little trays again with water?
Yes,
Very good, Edith. You're making giant strides.
yes.
Round our party, Mr. Braddon and I will have our coffee in here after dinner. And Mr. Corbin and Dr. Braddon will have theirs in the dining room. Is that quite clear?
Yes.
And when serving dinner, Edith, try to remember to do it calmly and methodically.
Yes,
As you're not in the Navy, it's unnecessary to do everything after double.
Very good.
Now go in the eye.
Yes,
Not for fun, Edith.
yes.
No sign of the advancing hordes.
Not yet.
No eyes.
It's coming. Been trying to discourage Edith from being quite so fleet of foot. You mustn't mind that everything's a little slow motion.
Oh, I shall welcome it. The last few days have been extremely agitating. What do you suppose induced Agnes to leave us and go and get married?
The reason was becoming increasingly obvious here.
Yes, but in these days nobody thinks anything of that sort of thing. She could have popped into the cottage hospital, had it, and popped back out again.
Her social life has been seriously undermined.
We must keep Edith in the house more.
That's right, Edith. Now put it down on the bar.
Yes, sir.
I left my cigarette case on my dressing table, Edith. Would you get it for me?
Yes, sir.
There now.
You took her by surprise.
A dry martini, I think, don't you?
Yes, here. I expect Madame Arcati will want something sweeter.
Well, we'll have this one ourselves anyhow.
Oh dear.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
I have a feeling this evening is going to be awful.
Oh, it'll probably be funny, but not awful.
You must promise not to catch my eye. If I giggle, and I'm very likely to, it will spoil everything.
You mustn't. You must be dead serious and, if possible, a little intense. We can't hurt the old girl's feelings, however funny she is.
Why the Bradmans, darling? He's as skeptical as we are, and he'll probably say the most dreadful things.
I've warned him. There must be more than 3 people, and it couldn't have been the vicar and his wife, because A, they're dreary, and B, they probably wouldn't have approved at all. It had to be the Bradmans. Thank you, Edith. Steady does it.
Yes, sir.
We might make her walk about with a book on her head like they do in deportment lessons. Here, try this.
Lovely, dry as a bone.
To the unseen.
I must say that's a wonderful title.
If this evening's a success, I shall start on the first draft tomorrow.
How extraordinary it is.
What?
I don't know. Being right at the beginning of something. It gives one an odd feeling.
Do you remember how I got the idea for the light goes out?
Suddenly seeing that haggard, ragged old woman in the hotel at Maritz. Of course I do.
Oh.
We sat up half night talking about it.
She certainly came in very handy. I wonder who she was.
If she ever knew, I mean, ever recognized that description of herself. Poor thing. Here's to her, anyhow.
Have another.
Oh, darling, they're most awfully strong.
Never mind.
Used Elvie around to be a help to you?
Every once in a while, when she concentrated, but she didn't concentrate very often.
I do wish I'd known her.
I wonder if you'd have liked her.
I'm sure I should. As you talk of her, she sounds enchanting. Yes, I'm sure I should have, because as you know, I have never for an instant felt in the least jealous of her. That's a good sign.
Poor Elvira.
Does it still hurt when you think of her?
No, not really. Sometimes I almost wish it did. I feel rather guilty.
I'm
I remember how fascinating she was, and how manly. I remember how badly she played all games and how cross she got when she didn't win. I remember her gay charm when she had achieved her own way over something, and her extreme acidity when she didn't. I remember her physical attractiveness, which was tremendous, and her spiritual integrity, which was nil.
You can't remember something that was nil.
I remember how morally untidy she was.
Was she more physically attractive than I am?
Oh, that's a very tiresome question, dear, and fully deserves the wrong answer.
You really are very sweet.
Thank you.
And a little naive, too.
Why?
Because you imagine that I minded about Elvira being more physically attractive than I am.
I should have thought any woman would mind if it were true. Or perhaps I'm old-fashioned in my view of female psychology.
Not exactly old-fashioned, darling, but a bit didactic.
How do you mean?
Well, it's didactic to attribute to one type the defects of another type. For instance, because you know perfectly well that Elvira would mind terribly if you found another woman more attractive physically than she was. It doesn't necessarily follow that I should. Elvira was a more physical person than I am, I'm certain of that. It's all a question of degree.
I love you, my love.
I know you do. But not the wildest stretch of imagination could describe it as the first fine, careless rapture.
Would you like it to be?
Oh, good God, no.
Wasn't that a shade too vehement?
Oh, neither of us had less than Charles. We've neither of us had exactly prim lives, have we? And we've both been married before. Careless rapture at this stage would be incongruous and embarrassing.
I hope I haven't been in any way a disappointment, dear.
Don't be so idiotic.
After all, your first husband was a great deal older than you. I shouldn't like you to think that you'd missed out all along the line.
There are moments, Charles, when you go too far.
Sorry, darling.
As far as waspish female psychology goes, there's a rather strong vein of it in you.
I've heard that said about Julius Caesar.
Oh, Julius Caesar's neither here nor there.
He may be, for all we know. We'll ask Madame Arcotti.
You're awfully irritating when you're determined to be witty at all costs. Almost supercilious.
That's exactly what Elvira used to say.
I'm not quite surprised. I never imagined, physically triumphant that she was entirely lacking in perception.
Darling Ruth.
Oh, there you go again.
As I think I've mentioned before, I love you, my love.
Poor Elvira.
Didn't that light, comradely kiss mollify you at all?
You are very annoying, you know you are. When I said poor Elvira, it came from the heart. You must have bewildered her so horribly.
Don't I bewilder you ever?
That's so innocent. I never a trick.
Well, then all I can say is we'd best get a divorce immediately.
Put my glass down. There's a darling.
She certainly had a great talent for living. It was a pity she died so young.
Poor Elvira.
That remark is getting tiresome.
Poor Charles, then.
That's better.
Later on, poor Ruth, I expect.
Oh, you ought to have faith, Ruth. I really do think you ought to try to have a little faith.
I shall strain every nerve.
Life without faith is an arid business.
How beautifully you put things, dear.
I aim to please.
If I died, I wonder how long it would be before you married again.
You won't die. You're not the dying soul.
Neither was Elvira.
Oh, yes, she was, now that I look back on it. She had a certain ethereal, not of this world quality. Nobody could ever call you even remotely ethereal.
No nonsense. She was of the earth. Earthy.
Well, she is now, anyhow.
You know, that's the kind of remark that shocks people.
Oh, it is aggravating to think how many people are shocked by honesty and how few by deceit.
Write that down, you might forget it.
You underrate me.
Anyhow, it's a question of bad taste more than honesty.
I was devoted to Elvira. We were married for 5 years. She died. I missed her very much. That was 7 years ago. I have now, with your help, my love, risen above the whole thing.
Admirable.
No, be careful. She'll probably come on her bicycle. She always goes everywhere on her bicycle.
It really is very spirited of the old girl.
Shall I go, or shall we let Edith have her flee?
Oh, no, wait a moment. We'll see what happens.
Dr. and Mrs. Bradman.
I hope we're not late. I just got back from the hospital about a half an hour ago.
Not at all. Madame Arcati isn't here yet.
That must have been her we passed coming down the hill. I said I thought it was.
Then it won't be long. I'm so glad you were able to come.
We've been looking forward to it. I feel really quite excited.
Violet will be good tonight, I guarantee it. I made her promise.
There wasn't any need. I'm absolutely thrilled. I've only seen Madame Arcati 2 or 3 times in the village. I mean, I've never seen her do anything at all peculiar, if you know what I mean.
Dry martini.
By all means.
She certainly is a strange woman. It was only a chance remark of the vicar's about seeing her up on the knoll on Midsummer Eve, dressed in a sort of Indian robes, that made me realise she was psychic at all. Then I began to make inquiries. Apparently she's been a professional in London for years.
It is funny, isn't it? I mean, anybody doing it is a profession.
No, I believe it's very lucrative.
Do you believe in it, Mrs. Condamine? Do you think there's anything really genuine about it at all?
I'm afraid not. But I do find it interesting how easily people allow themselves to be deceived.
But she must believe it herself, mustn't she? Or is the whole business a fake?
I suspect the worst. A real professional charlatan. That's what I'm hoping for, anyhow. The character I'm planning for my book must be a complete imposter. That's one of the most important aspects of the whole story.
Well, what exactly are you hoping to get from her?
Jargon, principally, a few tricks of the trade. I haven't been to a seance in years. I want to refresh my memory.
Then it's not entirely new to you.
Oh, no. When I was a little boy, an aunt of mine used to come and stay with us. She imagined that she was a medium and used to go into the most elaborate trances after dinner. My mother was fascinated by it.
Was she convinced?
Oh, heavens, no. She just naturally disliked my aunt and loved making a fool of her.
I gather then that there were never any tangible results.
Oh, she didn't do so badly every once in a while. Oh, on one occasion we were all sitting around in the pitch dark, with my mother groping her way through Chaminade at the piano, when my aunt suddenly gave out a shrill scream and said she saw a small black dog by my chair. Then somebody switched on the lights, and sure enough, there it was.
But how extraordinary.
Now, it was obviously a stray that had come in from the street, but I must say, I took my hat off to my auntie for producing it, or rather utilizing it. Even Mother was a bit shaken.
What happened to it?
It lived with us for years.
I certainly hope Madame Arcati won't produce any livestock. We have so very little room in this house.
Do you think she tells fortunes? I love having my fortune told.
I expect so.
Well, I was once told on the pier at Southsea that I was surrounded by lilies in a golden 7. It worried me for days.
We all must be very serious, you know, and pretend that we believe implicitly. Otherwise, she may not play.
Also, she might really mind. It would be cruel to upset her.
I shall be as good as gold.
Have you ever attended the doctor? Professionally, I mean.
Yes. She had influenza last January. She's only been here just over a year, you know. She was singularly unpsychic at that time. I had always understood that she was an authoress.
Oh, yes. We originally met as colleagues at one of Mrs. Wilmot's Sunday evenings at Sandgate.
What sort of books does she write?
Two sorts. Rather whimsical children's stories about enchanted woods filled with highly conventional flora and fauna, and enthusiastic biographies about my royalties. Very sentimental, reverent, and extremely funny.
She is.
She knows, doesn't she, about tonight? I mean, you're not going to spring it on her.
Of course. It was all arranged last week. I told her how profoundly interested I was in anything to do with the occult, and she blossomed like a rose.
I really feel quite nervous, as though I'm going to make a speech.
Why don't you go meet her now?
Yes.
I've linked my bike up against that little bush. It will be perfectly all right if no one touches it. Madame Arcati.
dear Madam Arcati.
I'm afraid I'm rather late, but I had a sudden presentiment that I was going to have a puncture. So I reached back to fetch my pop, and then of course I didn't have a puncture at all.
Perhaps you will on the way home.
Dr. Bradford, the man with the gentle heart.
I'm delighted to see you looking so well. This is my wife.
Oh, we're old friends. We've been coming out shops.
Would you like a cocktail?
Oh, if it's a dry martini, yes. If it's a concoction, no. Experience has taught me to be very wary of concoctions.
It is a dry martini.
How delicious! Oh, it was wonderful cycling through the woods this evening. I was deafened with birdsong.
It's been lovely all day.
Oh, but evening's the time, mark my words. Oh, thank you. Cheers. Cheers.
Don't you find it very tiring bicycling everywhere?
On the contrary, it stimulates me. I was getting far too sedentary in London. That horrid little flat with the dim lights. The lights had to be dim, you know, because I was expensive.
I must say, I find bicycling very exhausting.
Oh, no, it's just a matter of steady rhythm. That's what counts. Once you get the knack of it, you need never look back. On you get and away you
But
go.
the hills, Madam Arcati, pushing up those awful hills.
Just knack again. Down with your head, up with your heart, and you're over the top like a flash, skipping down the other side like a dragonfly. This is the best dry martini I've had for years.
Will you have another?
Certainly. You are a very clever man. Isn't it probably to write books? But it takes an artist to make a dry martini dry enough.
Are you writing anything nowadays, Madam Arcati?
Every morning, regular as clockwork, 7 to 4.
Is it a novel or a memoir?
Oh, it's a children's book. I have to finish it by the end of October to catch the Christmas sales. It's mostly about very small animals. The hero is a mosquito. I had to give up my memoir, Princess Panettone, because she died in April. I talked to her about it the other day, and she implored me to go on with it, because I really had my heart.
You talked to her about it the other day.
Yes, through my control, of course. She sounded very irritable.
Oh, it's funny to think of people in the spirit world being irritable, isn't it? I mean, one can hardly imagine it, can one?
We have no reliable guarantee that the afterlife will be any less exasperating than this one, have we?
Oh, Mr. Condamine, how can you?
I expect it's dreadfully ignorant of me not to know, but who was Princess Panettone?
Oh, she was originally a Jewess from Odessa of quite remarkable beauty. It was an accepted fact that people used to stand on the seats of the railway station to watch her whiz by.
She was a keen traveller.
In her younger days, yes. Later on, she married a Mr. Clark of the Consular Service and settled down for a while.
How did she become Princess Panettone?
Oh, that was years later. Mr. Clark passed over and left her penniless with 2 strapping girls.
Oh, how unpleasant.
And so, there was nothing for it but to obey the beckoning finger of adventure and take to the road again. So off she went, bag and baggage, to Vladivostok.
Oh, what an extraordinary place to go!
She had cousins there. Later on, she met old Panettone, who was returning from a secret mission in Japan. He was immediately staggered by her beauty, and very shortly afterwards married her. From then on, her life became really interesting.
Well, I should hardly have described it as dull before.
What happened to the girls?
Oh, she neither saw them nor spoke to them for 23 years.
How extraordinary.
Not at all. She was always rather erratic emotionally.
Dinner is served, Mum. Thank you, Edith. Shall we?
No red meat, I hope.
And there's meat, but I don't think it would be very red. Would you rather have an egg or something?
No, thank you. It's just that I make it a rule to never eat red meat before I work. It sometimes has an odd effect.
What sort of affair?
Oh, nothing of the least importance. If it's not too red, it won't matter much. Anyhow, we'll risk it.
Yes.
Come along, Mrs. Brandon. Madam Marcotte, you're on Charles's right.
On her mother's side, she went back to the Borgias, which I think accounts for a lot one way or another. Even as a child, she was given to the most violent, destructive tempers. Very inbred, you know.
Yes, she must have been.
My control was quite scared the other day when we were talking. I could hear it in her voice. I mean, after all, she's only a child.
Do you always have a child's control?
Yes, they're generally the best. Some mediums prefer Germans, of course. But personally, I've always found them unreliable.
In what way unreliable?
Well, for one thing, they're frightfully stubborn. And when faced with any sort of difficulty, they're rather apt to go off into their own fashionist ways, which is naturally undesirable and generally spoils a great deal of everything. Oh, children are undoubtedly more satisfactory, particularly when they get to know you and understand your ways. Daphne has worked with me for years.
And she still goes on being a child. I mean, she doesn't show signs of growing any older.
Time values, on their other side, are utterly different from ours.
Do you feel funny when you go off into a trance?
In what way funny?
Mrs. Brandon didn't mean funny in its comic implication. I think she meant odd or strange.
The word was an unfortunate choice.
I'm sure I'm very sorry.
Oh, it is of no consequence. Please, don't apologize.
When did you first discover that you had these extraordinary powers?
No, I was quite tiny. My mother was a medium before me, and so I had every opportunity of starting from the ground floor, as you know. I had my first trials when I was 4 years old, and my first ectoplasmic manifestation when I was 5 and a half. What an exciting day that was! I shall never forget it. Of course, the manifestation itself was quite small and of very short duration, but for a child of my tender years, it was most gratifying.
Your mother must have been so pleased.
She was.
Can you foretell the future?
Oh, certainly not. I disapprove of fortune-telling most strongly.
Oh, really? Why?
Too much guesswork and fake mixed up with it, even when the gift is genuine, which it only very occasionally is. You can't count on it.
But why not?
Time again. Time is the reef upon which all our frail, mystic ships are wrecked.
You mean because it has never yet been proved that the past and the present and the future are not one and the same thing?
I long ago came to the conclusion that nothing has ever been definitely proved about anything.
How very wise. I want you to leave the dining room just as it is for tonight, Edith. You can clear the table in the morning.
Yes.
And we don't want to be disturbed for the next hour or so for any reason whatsoever. Is that clear?
Yes.
And if anyone should telephone, just say that we're out and take a message.
Unless it's an urgent call for George.
Unless it's an urgent call for Dr. Brandon.
Yes.
There's not likely to be one, is there?
No, I don't think so.
Once I'm off, it won't matter. But any interruptions during the preliminary stages might be disastrous.
I wish the men would hurry up. I'm terribly excited.
Please don't be. It ruins much of everything that we have to do.
Well, Madame Marcotte, the time is drawing near.
Who knows? It may be receding.
How very true.
I hope you feel in the mood, Madame Marcotte.
It isn't a question of mood. It's a question of concentration.
You must forgive us being impatient, but we could perfectly easily wait if you're not quite ready to start.
Nonsense, my dear. I'm absolutely ready. I-ho, to where we go.
Is there anything you'd like us to do?
Do?
Yes, hold hands or anything.
All that will come later. First, a few deep breaths of fresh air. You may talk if you wish. It will not disturb me in the least.
What an extraordinary dinner. I congratulate you.
Oh, the moose wasn't quite
Oh, it looked a bit hysterical, but it tasted delicious.
That cuckoo is very angry.
I beg your pardon?
I said that cuckoo is very angry. Listen.
How can you tell?
Timber, no moon. That's as well as I think. There's mist rising from the marsh. There's no need for me to light my bicycle lamp, is there? I mean, nobody is likely to fall over it.
No, we're not expecting anybody else.
Good night, you foolish bird. You have a table?
Yes, we thought that one would do.
I think that one would be better.
Now, change over.
You told Edith that we didn't want to be disturbed.
Yes, darling.
This is the moment I always hate.
Are you nervous?
Yes. When I was a girl, I always used to be sick.
Ah, how fortunate that you grew out of it.
Children are always much more prone to be sick than grown-ups, so aren't they? I know I could never travel in a train with any degree of safety until I was nearly 14.
Little Tabby Tucker sings for his supper. What shall he have but brown bread and butter? Oh, I despise that, because it doesn't rhyme. But Daphne loves it.
Who's Daphne?
Daphne is Madame Arcade's control. She's a little girl.
Ah, yes, of course.
How old is she?
Rising 7 when she died.
And when was that?
February the 6th, 1884.
Poor little thing.
She must be getting a bit long in the tooth by now, I should think.
You should think, Dr. Bradman, but I fear that you don't. At least not profoundly enough.
Do be quiet, George. You'll put Madame Arcade off.
Don't worry, my dear. I'm quite used to skeptics. They generally turn out to be the most vulnerable and receptive in the long run.
You'd better take that warning to heart, Dr. Bradman.
My apologies, Madame Arcade. I assure you I am most deeply interested.
It is of no consequence. Now, will you all please sit round the table and place your hands downwards on it?
Oh, come, Mrs. Bradman.
What about the lights?
I'll get those later. Yes, the fingers should be touching. Yes, that's right, that's right. I presume that is the gramophone, Mr. Cornby?
Yes. Would you like me to start it? It's an electric one.
Please stay where you are. I can manage. Now then, let me see. What have we here? Oh, Brahms, oh dear me, no. Rachmaninoff too florid. Where's the dance music?
They're in the bottom drawer.
I'm afraid they're none of them very new.
Oh, Daphne really is more attached to Irving Berlin than anybody else. She likes the tune she can hum. Oh, yes, this will work. Always.
Always?
You sit down, Charles. What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
The light switch is by the door?
Yes, always like a small one on the desk in the ground floor.
Very well, I understand.
But do keep still, Charles.
Fingers touching, George. Remember what Madame Arcade said?
Now then, there are one or two things I should like to explain. So will you please all listen attentively?
Of course.
Presently, when the music begins, I am going to shut out the lights. I may then either walk about the room a little or lie down flat. I must ask that you not address me, or move, or do anything in the least distracting. Is that quite clear?
Perfectly.
Of course, I cannot guarantee that anything will happen at all. Daphne will be maybe unavailable. She had a head cold very recently and was rather under the weather, poor child. On the other hand, a great many things might occur. One of you might have an inundation, for instance, or we might contact a poltergeist, which would be extremely destructive and noisy.
In what way destructive?
They throw things, you know.
No, I didn't know.
Well, we must cross that bridge when we come to it, mustn't we?
Certainly, by all means.
Fortunately, an elemental at this time of year is most unlikely.
What do elementals do?
Oh, my dear, one can never tell. They're dreadfully unpredictable. Usually, they take the form of a very cold wind.
Oh, I don't think I should like that.
Occasionally reaching almost hurricane velocity.
You don't think it would be a good idea to take the more breakable ornaments from the mantelpiece before we start?
That's really not necessary, Mrs. Cornby. I assure you I have my own methods of dealing with elementals.
Uh-huh. I'm so glad.
Now then, are you ready to empty your minds?
Do you mean that we're to try to think of nothing?
Absolutely nothing, Dr. Bradley. Concentrate on a space or nondescript color. That's really the best way.
I'll do my damnedest.
Good work! I shall now start the music. Lights. Oh dear. Quiet, please. Is anyone there? Is anyone there? One rap for yes, two raps for no. Is there anyone there? Is that you, Daphne? Is your cold any better, dear? I'm so sorry. Are you doing anything for it? I'm afraid she's rather fretful. Is there anyone there who wishes to speak to anyone here? Now we're getting somewhere. Daphne! Don't do that, dear! Please, stop! Stop, Daphne! Stop! Oh, there's the dear child. There's the dear child. You say there's someone there who wishes to speak to someone here. Is it me? Is it Dr. Brightman? Is it Mrs. Brightman? Is it Mrs. Gondamine? Miss Gorman, behave yourself! Is it Mr. Gondamine? There's someone who wishes to speak to you, Mr. Gondamine.
Tell them to leave a message.
I really must ask that you not be flippant, Mr. Gondamine.
Don't be so idiotic, Charles. You ruin everything.
I'm sorry, it slipped out. Do you know anybody who has passed over recently?
Well, not recently. Well, except my cousin in the civil service. And he wouldn't be likely to want to communicate with me. We haven't spoken in years.
Are you Mr. Gondamine's cousin in the civil service? I'm afraid we've drawn a blank. Can't you think of anybody else? Rack your brains!
Oh, it might be old Mrs. Plummet, you know. She died on Mid-Monday.
I can't imagine why old Mrs. Plummet should wish to talk to me. We had very little in common.
It's worth trying anyhow.
Are you old Mrs. Plummet?
Oh, she was very deaf. Perhaps we'd better shout.
Are you old Mrs. Plummet? I'm afraid there's no one there at all.
How disappointing, just as we were getting on so nicely.
Quiet, be quiet.
I'm afraid there's nothing for it but for me to go into a trance. I'd hoped to avoid it because it's so exhausting. However, what must be, must be. Excuse me for a moment while I stop the gramophone again.
Not always. Don't play always.
Why ever not? Don't be so, Charles.
I'm afraid I must. It would be imprudent to switch horses midstream, if you know what I mean.
Have it your own way.
Little Tommy Tucker sings for his supper. What shall we give him?
That would be Daphne. She ought to have had her androids out.
George, please.
Oh my God! What's happening?
It's trying to get away. I can't hold it now. Or we should pick it up or leave it where it is.
How the hell should I know?
There's no need to snap at me.
Leave it where it is.
Who said that?
Who said what?
Somebody said leave it where it is.
Nonsense here.
I heard it distinctly.
Nobody else did they?
I never heard a sound.
It was you, Ruth. You're playing tricks.
I'm not doing anything of the sort. I haven't uttered.
Good evening, Charles.
Ventriloquism. That's what it is, ventriloquism.
What's the matter with you?
You must have heard that. One of you must have heard that.
Heard what?
Do you mean to stand there solemnly and tell me that not one of you heard anything at all?
I certainly didn't.
Neither did I. I wish I had. Oh, I should love to hear something.
It's you who are playing tricks, Charles. You're acting to try to frighten us.
I'm not. I swear I'm not.
It's difficult to think of what to say after 7 years, but I suppose good evening is as good as anything else.
Who are you?
Elvira, of course. Don't be so silly.
I can't bear this for another minute. Everyone, the entertainment's over. That's all I can say. Never, never again, as long as I live.
What on earth is the matter with you?
Nothing is the matter with me. I'm just sick of all this business, that's all.
Did you hear anything that the rest of us didn't, really?
Of course not. I was only pretending.
I knew you were.
Look at Madame Arcati.
Oh dear, what are we to do about her?
Bring her round. Bring her round as soon as possible.
I think we better leave her where she is.
How could you like stay like that for hours?
Oh, she's out all right.
Well, bring her round. It's dangerous to leave her like that.
Hey, Charles, you're behaving very peculiarly.
Wake up, Madame Arcati. Wake up. It's time to go.
Here, go easy, old man.
Get some brandy. Get her some brandy. Lift her onto the couch. Help me, Bradman. Oh, here we go. Let's go. Come on. Madame Arcati, little Tommy Tucker. Madame Arcati, wake up. Wake up, Madame Arcati.
Oh, she's coming round. And be careful, you spilled it on her dress.
Oh, well, that's that.
Are you all right?
Certainly I am. Never felt better in my life.
Would you like some more brandy?
So that's that funny taste in my mouth. Well, really. Fancy allowing me to give me brandy, Dr. Bradman. You ought to have known better. Brandy on top of the trans might have been catastrophic. Please take it away. I probably share sliver wings tonight as it is.
I know I shan't.
Why not?
The whole experience has unhinged me.
Well, what happened? Was it satisfactory?
Well, nothing much happened, Madame Arcati, after you went off.
Something happened all right. I can feel it. Oh. No poltergeist at any rate. That's a good thing. And the apparitions?
Not a thing.
No ectoplasm?
Well, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I don't think so.
Curious, very curious. I feel as though something tremendous has taken place.
Charles pretended he heard a voice to try to frighten her.
It was only a joke.
A very poor one, if I may say so. Nevertheless, I am prepared to swear that there is someone else fighting in this room apart from myself.
I don't see how that can be, really, Madame Arcati.
I do hope I haven't gone and released something. Nevertheless, we're bound to find out in a day or two. If any manifestation should occur, or you hear any unexpected noises, you might let me know at once.
Yes, we will. We'll telephone immediately.
Now then, I think I really must be on my way.
Would you like something before you go?
Oh, no thank you. I have some Ovaltine already in a saucepan at home. It only needs hotting up.
Madame Arcati, wouldn't you like to leave your bicycle here and let us drive you home?
I honestly do think you should, Madame Arcati. After that trance and everything, you can't be feeling quite yourself.
Nonsense, my dear. I'm as fit as a fiddle. Always feel capital after a trance. It rejuvenates me. Good night, Mrs. Courtenay.
It was awfully sweet of you to take so much trouble.
I'm so sorry so little occurred. It must have been that code of Daphne's, I expect. You know what children are when they have anything wrong with him. We must try again some other evening.
That would be lovely.
Oh, good night, Mrs. Bradman.
It was absolutely thrilling, it really was. I felt the table shaky beneath my hands.
Good night, Doctor.
Congratulations, Madame Arcati.
I am fully aware of the irony in your voice, Dr. Bradman. As a matter of fact, you would be an admirable subject for telepathic hypnosis. I have a great Tom who's an expert. I should like her to look you over.
I'm sure I should be charmed.
Good night, everyone. Next time we must really put our backs into it.
She certainly put you in your place, Jordan. Served you right.
She's very mad. Man's a hatter.
But do you really think she believes?
Of course not. The whole thing's a put-up job. Now, I grant you she shoots a more original line than they generally do.
I should think she's probably half convinced herself by now.
Oh, possibly. I suppose the trance seemed genuine enough, though that's easily accounted for.
Hysteria?
Yes, a form of hysteria, I should imagine.
I do hope Mr. Condamine got all the atmosphere he wanted for his book.
He might have got a great deal more if he hadn't spoiled everything by showing off. I'm really very cross with him. The draft. There must be a window in my room.
No, they're shut.
Perhaps it's one of those what-you-may-call-ems Madame Arcati was talking about.
Elementals. Elementals.
No, not me. She said distinctly it was the wrong time of year.
Well, the old girl's gone pedaling off down the drive at the help speed. We had a bit of trouble lighting her lamp.
Poor thing.
I have a theory about her, you know. I believe she is completely sincere.
Charles, how can she be?
Well, wouldn't it be possible, Doctor, some form of self-hypnotism?
It might be. I was just explaining to your wife, there is a certain type of hysterical subject who...
George, dear, it's getting terribly late. We really must go home. You've got to get up so early in the morning.
You see, the moment I begin to talk about anything which really interests me, my wife interrupts me.
You know I'm right, darling. It's past 11.
You must have a drink before you go.
No, Violet is quite right. I have to get up abominably early in the morning. I have a patient being operated on in Canterbury tomorrow.
It has been a thrilling evening. I shall never forget it. It was sweet of you to include us.
Good night, Mrs. Condamine. It was a delightful evening.
You're sure about the drink?
Quite sure.
We'll let you know if we find any poltergeists whirling about.
I should never forgive you if you didn't.
Darling.
Good night.
Good night. Well, darling,
Well,
would you say that the evening has been profitable?
yes, I suppose so.
I must say it was extremely funny at moments.
Yes, it certainly was.
What's the matter?
The matter?
Yes, you seem old somehow. Do you feel quite well?
Perfectly. I think I'll have a drink. Do you want one?
Thank you.
I don't think I'll take any notes this evening. I'll start fresh in the morning. My God.
Charles? Oh, that was very clumsy, Charles, dear.
Elvira? Then it's true! It was you!
Of course it was. Charles? Darling Charles, what are you talking about?
Don't you see?
See what?
Elvira! Elvira, dear. This is Ruth. Ruth, this is Elvira.
Why don't you sit down, darling? Oh, sit down. Sit down, darling. I'll mix you a drink.
Do you mean to say you can't see her?
See what?
But you must be able to see her. She's there. Look right in front of you there. You mean you can't see her?
Is this a joke, Charles? It's gone far enough. Sit down, for God's sake. Stop being absurd.
But you must be able to see her. Oh my God. What am I to do?
I think you'd be at least a little more pleased to see me. After all, you called me back.
I didn't do any such thing.
Of course you did. That awful child with the cold came and told me you wanted to see me urgently.
It was a mistake. A horrible mistake.
Stop talking like that, Charles. I told you before, the joke's gone far enough.
I've gone mad. That's what it is. I've just gone raving mad.
Drink this.
This is appalling.
Now sit down.
Why are you so excited for me to sit down? What good will that do?
I want you to relax. You can't relax standing up.
How am I to relax? I shall never relax again as long as I live.
Well, flamingos can. They can stand on one leg for hours.
I don't happen to be a flamingo.
You don't happen to be a what?
doesn't matter. You'll say no more about it. See? I've sat down.
Would you like some more brandy?
Yes, please.
Mary and White always had a weak head.
I could drink you under the table.
There's no need to be aggressive, Charles. I'm doing my best to help you.
I'm sorry.
Here, drink this and we'll go to bed.
Oh, get rid of her, Charles. Then we can talk in peace.
That's a thoroughly immoral suggestion. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
What's there immoral in that?
I wasn't talking to you.
Who are you talking to then?
Elvira, of course.
Oh, to hell with Elvira!
Oh, there now. She's getting cross.
I don't blame her.
What don't you blame her for?
But
Now look here, Charles. I gather you've got some sort of plan behind all of this. I'm not quite a fool. I suspect that you're doing that idiotic seance.
don't be silly. What plan could I have?
I don't know. It's probably something to do with one of the characters in the war, the way one of them would react to a certain situation. I refuse to be used as a guinea pig unless I'm warned beforehand what it's all about.
Elvira is here, Ruth. She's standing just a few yards away from you.
Yes, I can see her distinctly under the bars of the zebra.
Oh, Ruth!
I will not stay here arguing any longer.
Hurrah!
Shut up!
How dare you speak like that to me?
Look,
I
please
will
listen.
not listen to this any longer. I'm going up to bed.
What?
Right, shall we sleep? I'm too upset. You can turn out the lights. You can come in and say goodnight to me if you feel like it.
That's big if I must say.
Be quiet! You're behaving like a gutter snap.
That's all I can say, Charles. Good night.
Ruth! No, Ruth! Please,
That was one of the most enjoyable half hours I've ever had.
Elvira, how could you?
Rude.
Oh, this is obviously a hallucination, isn't it?
I'm afraid I don't know the technical term for it.
What am I to do?
What Ruth suggested. Relax.
How did you get here?
I know, it's very peculiar, but I don't exactly remember.
You've been here indefinitely.
I don't know that either.
Oh my god.
Why? Would you hate it so much by
Well, you must admit it would be embarrassing.
I don't see why. It's all a question of adjusting yourself. Anyhow, I think it's horrid of you to be so unwelcoming and disagreeable.
Now look here, Elvira.
I know! I think you're mean.
Well, try to see my point, dear. I've been married to Ruth for 5 years. You've been dead for 7.
Not dead, Charles. Passed over. It's considered vulgar to say dead where I come from.
Passed over then.
At any rate, now that I'm here, the least you can do is make a pretense of being amiable about it.
Of course, my dear. I'm delighted in one way.
I don't believe you love me anymore.
I shall always love the memory of you.
You mustn't think me unreasonable, but I really am a little hurt. You called me back, and a great inconvenience I came, and you've been thoroughly churlish ever since I arrived.
Believe me, Elvira, I most emphatically did not call you back. There's been some mistake.
Well, somebody did, and that child said it was you. I remember I was playing backgammon with a very sweet old gentleman. I believe his name was Genghis Khan. And I just rolled double sixes, and then the child paged me, and the next thing I knew, I was in this room.
Perhaps it was your subconscious.
You must find out whether or not you're going to stay indefinitely. We can make arrangements accordingly.
I don't see how I can.
Well, try to think. Isn't there anybody that you know that you can get in touch with over there on the other side, or whatever it's called, who could advise you?
I can't think. It seems so far away, as though I dreamed it.
You must know somebody else besides Genghis Khan.
Oh, Charlie!
What is it?
I want to cry, but I don't think I'm able to.
What do you want to cry for?
Seeing you again, you being so irascible like you always used to be.
I don't mean to be irascible, Elvira.
Darling, I don't mind really. I never did.
Is it cold being a ghost?
I don't think so.
What happens if I touch you?
I don't know that you can. Do you want to?
Oh, Elvira,
What is it, darling?
I really do feel strange seeing you again.
That's better.
What's better?
your voice was kinder.
Was I ever unkind to you when you were alive?
Often.
Exaggeration.
Not at all. You were an absolute pig that time we went to Cornwall and stayed in that awful hotel. You hit me with a billiard cue.
Only very, very gently.
I loved you very much.
I loved you too. No! No, I can't touch you. Isn't that horrible?
Perhaps it's as well, if I'm going to stay here any length of time.
I suppose I shall wake up eventually. But I feel strangely peaceful now.
Lay your head back. That's right.
Like that.
Can you feel anything?
Only a very little breeze through my hair.
That's better than nothing.
I suppose that if I am really out of my mind, they'll put me in an asylum.
Don't worry about that. Just relax.
Poor Ruth.
To hell with Ruth.
Good morning, darling.
Good morning, Charles.
It certainly is.
What certainly is what?
A good morning. A tremendously good morning. There isn't a cloud in the sky and everything looks newly washed.
You're just keeping your breakfast hot. You better ring.
Anything interesting in Times?
Don't be silly, Charles.
I intend to work all day.
Good.
It's extraordinary about daylight, isn't it?
How do you mean?
The way it reduces everything to normal.
Does it?
Yes, it does.
I guess I'm certainly glad to hear that.
You're very glacial this morning.
Are you surprised?
Yes, frankly, I expected more of you.
Oh, really?
I've always looked upon you as a woman of perception and understanding.
Perhaps it's one of my off days.
Good morning, Edith.
Good morning, sir.
Heating?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
House cook.
I don't know, sir. I haven't asked her.
You should. You should begin every morning by asking everyone how they are. It oils the wheels.
Yes, sir.
Grease her from me, will you?
Yes.
That will be all for the moment, Edith.
Yes.
I wish you wouldn't be facetious with the servants, Charles. It confuses them and undermines their morale.
I consider that point to be retrogressive, if not downright feudal.
I don't care what you consider it. I have to run the house and you don't.
Are you implying that I couldn't?
You're at liberty to try.
I take back what I said about it being a good morning. It's a horrid morning.
You better eat your breakfast while it's hot.
It isn't.
Now look here, Charles. In your younger days, this display of roguish flippancy might have been alluring. In a middle-aged novelist, it's nauseating.
Would you like me to writhe at your feet in a frenzy of self-abasement?
That would be equally nauseating, but certainly more appropriate.
I don't see what I've done that's so wrong.
You behaved abominably last night. You wounded me and insulted me.
I was the victim of an aberration.
Nonsense. You were drunk.
Drunk?
You had 4 strong dry martinis before dinner, a great deal of burgundy at dinner. Heaven knows how much port and whiskey with Dr. Bradman while I was doing my best to entertain that mad woman, and 2 little brandies later I gave them to you myself. Of course, you were drunk.
So that's your story, is it?
You refused to come to bed, and when I finally came down at 3 in the morning to see what had happened to you, I found you in an alcoholic coma on the sofa, with the fire out and your hair all over your face.
I wasn't in the least drunk, Ruth. Something happened to me last night. Something very peculiar happened to me.
Nonsense, dear.
It isn't nonsense. I know it looks like nonsense now in the clear, remorseless light of day, but last night it was very far from being nonsense. I honestly had some sort of hallucination.
I would really rather not discuss it any further.
We must discuss it. It's very disturbing.
Well, there I agree with you. It showed you up in a most unpleasant light. I find that extremely disturbing.
I swear to you that during the seance, I was convinced that I heard Elvira's voice.
No one else did.
I can't help that. I did.
You couldn't have.
And later on, I was equally convinced that she was in this room. I saw her distinctly and talked to her. And after you'd gone up to bed, we had quite a cosy little chat.
And you seriously expect me to believe that you weren't drunk?
I know I wasn't drunk. I know what it is. You're frightened.
Frightened? Rubbish! What does that mean, frightened of?
Elvira, you wouldn't have minded all that much even if I had been drunk. It was only because it was all mixed up with Elvira.
Elvira wasn't in my mind.
She wasn't in mine.
Oh, she was she?
You tried to make me say that she was more physically attractive than you, so you could hold it over me.
I did not. I don't give a hoot how physically attractive she was.
Oh, yes, you do. Your whole being is consumed with jealousy.
This is too much.
Women. My God, what I think of women.
Just because you've always been dominated by them doesn't necessarily follow that you know anything about them.
I've never been dominated by anyone.
You were handwritten by your mother until you were 23.
The only woman in my entire life who has ever attempted to dominate me is you. You've been at it for years.
That is completely untrue.
I know it isn't. You boss me and bully me and order me about. I can't even have an hallucination if I want to.
Charles, alcohol will ruin your whole life if you allow it to get a hold on you, you know.
Once and for all, Ruth, I want you to understand that what happened last night was nothing whatever to do with alcohol. You've very adroitly rationalized the whole affair to your own satisfaction, but your deductions are based on complete fallacy. I'm willing to grant you that it was an aberration, some sort of psychic delusion based on suggestion or hypnosis. But I was stone cold sober from first to last and extremely upset into the bargain.
You're upset indeed. What about me?
You behaved with a stolid, obtuse lack of comprehension that frankly shocked me.
I considered that I was remarkably patient. I shall know better next time.
Instead of putting out a gentle comradely hand to guide me, you shouted staccato orders at me like a sergeant major.
You seem to forget that you gratuitously insulted me.
I did not.
You called me a gutter snipe. You told me to shut up. And when I quietly suggested that we go up to bed, you said with the most disgusting leer that it was an immoral suggestion.
I was talking to Elvira, and I was not drunk.
Can I queer, please, Mum? Yes, Edith. Cook wants to know about lunch, Mum. Will you be in to lunch, Charles?
Please don't worry about me. I shall be perfectly happy with a bottle of gin in my bedroom.
Don't be silly, dear. Tell Cook we'll both be in.
Yes, sir.
I'm going into hike this morning. Is there anything that you want?
Yes, a great deal. But I doubt if you can get it in Hythe.
Tell Cook to put out the salsa down on my list. Will you eat it? Yes. Oh, it's clouded over.
You have a genius for understatement.
Don't worry about the table, Edith. I'll put it away. Yes, sir.
Please, be reasonable, Ruth.
I'm perfectly reasonable.
I wasn't pretending. I really did think that I saw Elvira, and when I heard her voice, I was appalled.
You put up with it for 5 years.
When I saw her, I had the shock of my life. That's why I dropped the glass.
But you couldn't have seen her.
I know I couldn't have, but I did.
I am willing to concede that you imagined that you did.
That's what I've been trying to explain to you for hours.
Well, there's obviously something wrong with you.
Exactly. There's something wrong with me, something fundamentally wrong with me. That's why I've been imploring your sympathy, and all I got was a sterile temperance lecture.
Oh, you had been drinking, Charles. There's no denying that.
No more than usual.
How do you account for it then?
I can't account for it, that's what's so awful.
Did you feel quite well yesterday?
Of course
Where
I
was
did.
it?
Of course I did.
What did you have for lunch?
You ought to know, you had it with me.
Let me see. There was lemon sole and that cheese thing.
Why should having a cheese thing for lunch make me see my deceased wife after dinner?
You never know. It was rather rich.
Why didn't you see your dead husband? You had just as much of it as I did.
This isn't getting us anywhere at all.
Of course it isn't. answer that it won't, as long as you insist on ascribing supernatural phenomenon to colonic irritation.
Supernatural grandmother.
I admit she would be much less agitating.
Perhaps you ought to see a nerve specialist.
I am not in the least neurotic and never have been.
Psychoanalyst, then.
I refuse to endure months of expensive humiliation, only to be told at the end of it that at the age of 4, I was in love with my rocking horse.
What do you suggest, then?
I don't suggest anything. I'm profoundly uneasy.
Perhaps there's something pressing on your brain.
If there was something pressing on my brain, I should have violent headaches, shouldn't I?
Not necessarily. An uncle of mine had a lump the size of a cricket ball pressing on his brain for years, and he never felt a thing.
I know I should know if I had anything like that.
He didn't.
What happened to him?
We had to take it out, and he's been bright as a button ever since.
Did he have any delusions? Did he see things that weren't really there?
No, I don't think so.
Then what the hell are we talking about him for? It's sheer waste of valuable time.
I only brought it up as an example. Every very more learned. How do you feel now?
Physically, do you mean?
Altogether.
Apart from being worried, I feel quite normal.
Good. You're not hearing or seeing anything in the least unusual.
Not a thing.
You've absolutely ruined that water by the sundial. It looks like a mixed salad.
Oh my God.
What's the matter now?
She's here again.
What do you mean? Who's here again?
Elvira.
Pull yourself together and stop being absurd.
It's all those nasturtiums. They're so vulgar.
I like nasturtiums.
They're all right in moderation, but in a mouse like that, they look beastly.
Help me, Ruth, you'll tell me.
What do you mean about nasturtiums?
Never mind about that now. I tell you, she's here again.
You have been having a nice scene, haven't you? I can hear you right down the garden.
Please mind your own business.
Oh, if you're behaving like a lunatic isn't my business, nothing is.
I expect it was about me, wasn't it? I know I ought to be sorry, but I'm not. I'm delighted.
How can you be so inconsiderate?
Inconsiderate? Well, that I must say.
Ruth, darling, please.
I have been doing my best to help you. I've controlled myself admirably. And I should like to say here and now that I don't believe a damn word about your hallucination. You're up to something. There's been a certain prejudice in your manner for weeks. Why don't you be honest and tell me what it is?
You're wrong. You're dead wrong. I haven't been in the least hurt, have I?
You're trying to upset me. For some obscure reason, you're trying to goad me into doing something that I might regret. Well, I don't stand for it anymore. You're making me utterly miserable.
Ruth, please!
Don't come near me!
Let her have a nice cry. It'll do her good.
You're utterly heartless!
Heartless!
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Elvira.
You go on talking to her then. Talk to her until you're blue in the face, but don't you dare talk to me!
Help me, Elvira.
How?
Make her see you or something.
Oh, I'm afraid I couldn't do that. It's technically the most difficult business, frightfully complicated. It takes years of study.
You are here, aren't you? You're not an illusion.
Well, I may be an illusion, but I'm most definitely here.
Well, how did you get here?
I told you last night I don't exactly know.
Well, you must make me a promise that in future you only come talk to me when I'm alone.
How unkind you are, making me feel so unwanted. I've never been treated so rudely.
I don't mean to be rude.
Oh, it's all your own fault for having married a woman who can't see beyond the nose on her face. If she had a grain of real sympathy or affection for you, she'd believe what you tell her.
How do you expect anybody to believe this?
You'd be surprised at how gullible people are. We often laugh about it on the other side.
Charles,
Yes, dear.
I'm awfully sorry I was cross.
But my dear.
I understand everything now. I do.
You do?
Of course I do.
Watch out, she's up to something.
Will you please be quiet?
Oh, yes, dear. We'll all be quiet, won't we? We'll be as quiet as little mice.
Ruth, dear, listen.
I want you to come upstairs with me and go to bed.
The way that woman harps on bed is nothing short of erotic.
I'll deal with you later.
Fair enough. Come along.
What are you up to?
I'm not up to anything. I just want you to go upstairs and wait quietly until Dr. Brad comes.
No, Ruth, you're wrong.
She'll have you in a straitjacket before you know where you are.
Help me. You must help me.
Darling, I would with pleasure, but I don't know how.
I do. Listen, Ruth.
Yes, dear?
If I promise to go to bed, will you let me stay here for just 5 minutes longer?
I really think
No,
you'll be
bear with me. However mad it may seem, bear with me for just 5 minutes longer.
Very well. What is it?
Sit down.
All right.
Ruth, I want to explain to you very clearly and without emotion that beyond any shadow of doubt, the ghost or shade or whatever you want to call it of my first wife Elvira is in this room now.
Yes, dear.
I know you don't believe me and are trying valiantly to humor me, but I intend to prove it to you.
Why not lie down and have a nice rest, and you can prove anything you want to later on?
She may not be here later on.
Don't worry, she will.
Oh my God.
Well, dear.
Promise you'll do what I ask.
That depends on what it is.
Ruth, you see that vase of flowers on the bar?
Oh, yes, dear, I did it myself this morning.
Very untidily, if I may say so.
You may not.
Very well, I never will again, I promise.
Elvira will now carry that vase of flowers to the mantelpiece and back again. Will Elvira, won't you just to please me?
I don't see why I should. You've been quite insufferable to me ever since I materialized.
Please.
All right, just this once.
Pay close attention.
Yes, dear.
All right, Elvira, carry it to the mantelpiece and back again. Here we go. Yes.
Certainly, anything to oblige.
Don't be silly.
You're cruel and sadistic, and I will never forgive you. I'm not going to put up with this any longer.
You must believe it, you must.
No, let me go.
Elvira, I swear.
Let me go.
Please.
Charles, this is madness. Sheer madness. Some sort of auto-suggestion, isn't it? Some form of hypnotism. Swear to me it's only that. Swear to me it's only that.
Hypnotism, my foot!
Madam Arcati. Oh, my dear Mrs. Cordermead, I came the second I got your message.
That's very kind of you.
Oh, not kind, nothing kind about it. I'm looking forward to an outing.
I'm so glad. Will you have some tea?
China or Indian?
China.
Good. I never touch Indian. It upsets my vibration.
Will you sit down?
Oh, thank you. Oh, I find this room very interesting indeed. I noticed it the other evening.
I'm not entirely surprised.
Have you ever been to Cowden Manor?
Well, no, I'm afraid I haven't.
Oh, that's very interesting too. Strikes you like a blow between the eyes the moment you walk into the drawing room. No sugar or milk at all.
I am profoundly disturbed, Madam Arcati, and I want your help.
Ha ha! I thought as much. What's in these sandwiches?
Cucumber.
Ooh, couldn't be better. Far away.
It's awfully difficult to explain.
Facts first, explanations afterwards.
Well, it's the facts that are difficult to explain. They're so fantastic.
Facts very often are. Take creative talent, for instance. How does it come about? Look at Shakespeare and Michelangelo. Tried to explain Mozart, snatching sounds out the end, putting them on paper, when he was practically a baby. Facts, plain facts. I know it's the fashion nowadays to ascribe it all to glands, but my reply to that is fiddle-dee-dee.
Yes, I'm sure you're quite right.
There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy, Mrs. Cordermead.
There certainly are.
Come on,
Take the plunge, out with it. You've heard strange noises in the night, no doubt. Boards creaking, doors slamming, subdued moaning in passages. Is that it?
No, I'm afraid it isn't.
No sudden gust of cold wind, I hope.
No, it's worse than that.
Oh, I'm all attention.
I know it sounds idiotic, but the other night at the seance, something happened.
Oh, I knew it! Probably a poltergeist. They're enormously cunning, you know. Sometimes they lie doggo for days.
You know my husband was married before.
Yes, I have heard mention.
His first wife, Elvira, died comparatively young.
Where?
Here, in this house, in this very room.
Really, I'm beginning to see daylight.
She was convalescing after pneumonia and one evening began to laugh helplessly at one of the BBC musical programs and died of a heart attack.
And she materialized the other night after I had born.
Not to me, but to my husband.
Oh, capital! Capital! Oh, but this is wonderful.
From your own professional standpoint, I can see how it might be regarded as a major achievement.
A triumph, my dear. Nothing more nor less than a triumph.
But from my own personal point of view, it is, to say the least of it, embarrassing.
At last, a genuine materialization.
Please sit down again, Madame Arcati.
How could anyone sit down in a moment like this? This is tremendous. I haven't had a success such as this since the summer again.
Nevertheless, I must insist upon you sitting down and controlling your natural exuberance. I fully appreciate your pride in your achievement, but I would like to point out that it has made my position in this house untenable. I hold you entirely responsible.
Forgive me, Mrs. Quantamine. I am being abominably selfish. How can I help you?
How? I'm sending her back immediately to wherever she came from, of course.
I'm afraid that is easier said than done.
Do you mean she's liable to stay here indefinitely?
It's difficult to say. I fear it depends largely on her.
But my dear Madame Arcati,
Where's she now?
my husband already called. Apparently she was anxious to see an old friend of hers that's staying in Bragg.
Forgive this formality, but I shall have to make a report to the psychical research people.
I would be very much obliged if there were no names mentioned.
Oh, the report will be confidential.
This is a small village, you know, and gossip would be most undesirable.
I quite understand. You say she is visible only to your husband.
Yes.
Visible only to husband. Audible too, I presume?
Extremely audible.
Extremely audible. Would you say your husband was devoted to her?
I believe so.
Husband devoted.
Apparently it was a reasonably happy marriage. I beg your pardon.
When did she pass away?
7 years ago.
Aha! She must have been on the waiting list.
Waiting list.
Yes, otherwise she would have got beyond the materialization stage by now. She must have requested a return visit, and she'd never have been able to manage it unless there was a strong influence at work.
Do you mean that Charles, my husband, wanted her back all that much?
Possibly, or it might have been her own determination.
That sounds much more likely.
Would you say she was a woman of strong character?
I really don't know Madame Arcati. I never met her. Nor am I particularly interested in how or why she got here. I'm solely concerned with the question of how to get rid of her again, and as soon as possible.
I fully sympathize with you, Mrs. Quantamine, and I assure you I will do everything in my power to help. But at the moment, I fear I cannot offer any great hopes.
But I always understood that there was some way of exercising her, some sort of ritual.
You mean the bell and book method?
Well, yes, I suppose I do.
Poppycock, Mrs. Quantamine. That was quite effective in the old days of genuine religious belief, but that's all changed. I feel that there's been a decline in the faith of the spirit world. It's been causing grave concern.
Has it indeed?
Of course, there was a time when a single drop of holy water would send even a poltergeist scampering for cover, but not anymore. Sole ne doctor.
Be that as it may, Madame Arcati, I must beg of you to do your utmost to dematerialize my husband's husband's first wife as soon as possible.
The time has come for me to admit to you, frankly, Mrs. Courtney, that I haven't the faintest idea how to set about it.
And tell me that having mischievously conjured up this ghost or spirit or whatever she is, and placed me in a hideous position, that you're unable to do anything about it at all.
Honesty is the best policy.
It sounds great. It sounds like to the police.
You go too far, Mrs. Courtney.
I go too far indeed. Do you understand what your insane amateur muddling has done?
I have been a professional since I was a child. The word amateur is a word I cannot tolerate.
It seems to me to be the height of amateurishness to evoke malignant spirits and not be able to get rid of them again.
I was in a trance. Anything might happen when I'm in a trance.
Well, all I can suggest is that you go into another one immediately and get this damned woman out of my house!
I can't just go into trances at a moment's notice. It takes hours of preparation, in addition to which I have to be extremely careful of my diet for days in advance. Today, for instance, I happened to lunch with friends and had pigeon pie, which, plus those cucumber sandwiches, would make a trance out of the question.
We'll have to do something.
I shall make a report of the home matter to the Society of Psychical Research at the earliest possible moment.
Will they be able to do anything?
I doubt it. There's an investigation committee, and they do a lot of questioning and ward admin and mumbo jumbo, and then they have a conference, and you'd probably have to go to London to testify.
Oh, it's too humiliating. It really is.
Please try not to upset yourself. Nothing can be achieved by upsetting yourself.
It's all very fine of you to talk like that, Madam Arcoti. You don't seem to have the faintest realization of my position.
Try to look on the bright side.
Bright side, indeed. If your husband's first wife suddenly appeared from the grave and came to live in the house with you, do you think you'd be able to look on the bright side?
I resist your tone, Mrs. Courtney. I really do.
You most decidedly have no right to. You're entirely to blame for this whole horrible situation.
Kindly remember, I came here the other night on your own invitation.
Oh, on my husband's invitation.
I did what I was requested to do, which was to give a seance and establish contact with the other side. I had no idea there was any ulterior motive mixed up with it.
Ulterior motive?
Your husband was obviously eager to get in touch with his former wife. If I had been aware that at the time, I would naturally have consulted with you beforehand. After all, noblesse oblige.
He had no intention of trying to get in touch with anyone. The whole thing was planned in order for him to gain material for a mystery story that he's writing about a homicidal medium.
Am I to understand that I was only invited in a spirit of mockery?
Not at all. He merely wanted to make some notes of the tricks of the trade.
Tricks of the trade! Insufferable! I have never been so insulted in my life. We have nothing more to say to one another, Mrs. Courtney. Goodbye!
Oh, please, God, goodbye.
Your attitude from the outset has been most unpleasant, Mrs. Courtney. Some of your remarks have been disparities in the extreme. I should like to say, without umbrage, that you and your husband were foolish enough to tamper in the unseen for paltry motives and in the spirit of ribald. Whatever has happened to you is your own fault. And to coin a phrase, as far as I am concerned, you can sue and your friend Tuesday. What on earth was Madame Arcoti? What was she doing here?
Did you ask her?
Of course I did.
You never told me you were going to.
You never told me you were going to ask Elvira to live with us.
I didn't!
Oh, yes, you did, darling. It was your subconscious.
What was the old girl so cross about? She practically cut me dead.
I told her the truth about why we invited her here the other night.
You had... That was quite unnecessary and most unkind.
She needed taking down a bit. She was blowing herself out like a pouter pigeon.
Why did you ask her to tea?
To get me exercised, of course. Oh, dear, I wish I could have a cucumber sandwich. I did love them so.
Is that true, Ruth?
Is what true?
What Elvira said?
You know perfectly well I can't hear what Elvira said.
She said you got Madame Arcati here to get her exorcised. Is that true?
We discussed the possibilities.
There's a snake in the grass for you.
You had no right to do such a thing without consulting me.
It's every right. The situation is absolutely impossible and you know it.
If only you'd make an effort and try to be a little friendly to Elvira, we might all have quite a jolly time.
I have no wish to have a jolly time with Elvira.
Oh, she's certainly very bad-tempered, isn't she, darling? I can't think why you married her.
Where is Elvira at this moment?
Right next to me.
Oh, now look here, Elvira. I should have to call you Elvira, shan't I? I mean, I can't go on saying Mrs. Condamine all the time. It would sound too silly.
I don't see why.
Did she say anything?
She said she'd like nothing better.
Oh, you really are sweet, Charles, darling. I worship you.
I wish to be absolutely honest with you, Elvira.
Hold on to your hats, boys.
I admit I did ask Madame Arcati here with a view to getting you exercised. And I think if you were in my position, you would have done exactly the same thing, wouldn't you?
I shouldn't have done it so obviously.
What did she say?
Nothing. She just nodded and smiled.
Thank you, Elvira. That's generous of you. I would really so much rather that there were no misunderstandings between us.
That's quite sensible of you, Ruth. I agree entirely.
I want, before we go any further, to ask you a frank question. Why did you really come here? I can't see that you could have hoped to have achieved anything by it other than the immediate joke of making Charles into sort of a astral bigamist.
I came because the power of Charlie's love tugged and tugged and tugged at me, isn't it, my sweet?
What did she say?
She said she came back just to see me again.
Surely she's done that now, hasn't she?
Well, we can't be inhospitable, Ruth.
Oh, I have no wish to be inhospitable, but I should like to have just an idea of how long you intend to stay, Elvira.
I don't know. I just don't know. Isn't it awful?
She says she doesn't know.
Surely that's a little inconsiderate.
Didn't the old spiritualist have any constructive ideas about getting rid of me?
What did Madame Arcati say?
She said she couldn't do a thing.
Hurrah!
Don't be upset, Ruth, dear. We shall soon adjust ourselves, you know. You must admit it's a unique experience. I, for one, can see no valid reason why we shouldn't get a great deal of fun out of it.
Fun? How can you, Charles? You must be out of your mind.
Not at all. Well, I thought I was at first. But now I must say I'm having a great deal of fun.
Charles!
Oh, she's off again.
You really must not be so callous, Elvira. Try to see her point a little.
I expect she said something insulting.
No, she didn't do anything of the sort.
Now look here, Elvira. Oh, why the hell can't she stay in the same place?
Temper again. My poor Charles, what a terrible life you must lead.
Do shut up, darling. You'll only make everything worse.
Who was that darling addressed to? Her or me?
Both of you?
This is intolerable.
Oh, you must not get into another state.
No, I have been doing my level best to control myself ever since yesterday morning. And it's been a nightmare. She has the advantage of being able to say whatever she pleases without me being able to hear her. But she can hear me all right, can't she? Without any modified interpreting.
Modified interpreting? I don't know what you mean.
Oh, yes, you do. You haven't told me what she's really said. You wouldn't dare. Judging from her portrait, she's the type that would use most unpleasant language.
Now, Ruth, you're not to talk like that.
I've been making polite conversation all through dinner last night, and breakfast and lunch today, and the strain is too much. I'm not going to do it anymore. I don't like Elvira any more than she likes me. And what's more, I'm certain I never could have, dead or alive. If, since her untimely arrival here the other evening, she had shown the slightest sign of good manners, the slightest sign of breeding, I might have felt differently.
beautiful.
No, she isn't. Not really. Her mouth gives her away. It's a hard mouth, Charles.
Her mouth's got nothing to do with it. I resent you discussing Ruth as though she were a horse.
Do you love her?
Of course I do.
As much as you loved me?
Don't be silly, it's all entirely different.
I'm so glad. Nothing would have ever been exactly the same, would it?
You always behaved very badly.
Charlie!
I'm grieved to see that your sojourn into the other world hasn't improved you in the least.
Go on, darling. I love it when you pretend to be cross with me.
I'm now going upstairs to talk to Ruth.
Cowardly custard!
Don't be idiotic! I can't let her go like that. I must be a little nice and sensitive to her.
I don't see why. If she's so set on being disagreeable, I should let her get on with it.
The whole business has been very difficult for her. We must be fair.
Has it been a shock for you too, darling?
Of course it has. What did you expect?
A nice shock.
What do you want, Elvira?
Want? I don't know what you mean.
I remember that whenever you were being overpoweringly demure, it usually meant that you wanted something.
It's horrid of you to be so suspicious. All I want is to be with you.
Well, you are.
I mean alone, darling. If you go up and pamper Ruth and smarm her over, she'll probably come flouncing down again, and our lovely, quiet evening together will be spoilt.
You're incorrigibly selfish.
I haven't seen you for 7 years. It's only natural I should want a little time alone with you to talk over old times. I'll let you go up just for a little while if you really think it's your duty.
Of course it is.
Then I don't mind.
You're disgraceful, Elvira.
You'll come again very soon, though. You won't be away long.
I shall probably dress for dinner while I'm upstairs.
Darling.
You can read the Tatler or something.
You don't have to dress for me.
I always dress for dinner.
Oh, what are you going to have? I should like to watch you eat something really delicious.
Do be a good girl. You can listen to the gramophone if you like.
Thank you, Charles.
Servants are awful
Well, there's absolutely nothing to worry about, Mrs. Condamine. It's only a slight sprain.
I'm so relieved.
Of course, he made a great deal of fuss when I examined him. Men are always much worse patients than women, you know, especially highly strung men like your husband.
Is he highly strung, do you think?
Yes, I've been meaning to speak to you about that. I'm afraid he's been overworking lately.
Overworking?
Yes, he's in a very nervous condition. Now, it's nothing serious, mind you.
What makes you think so?
I know the symptoms. Of course, the shock of his recent fall might have had something to do with it, but still, I would advise a complete rest for at least a couple of weeks.
You mean you think he ought to go away?
I do. In cases like this, a change of atmosphere can do wonders.
What symptoms have you noticed?
Oh, nothing to be unduly alarmed about, but a certain air of strain, an inability to focus his eyes on the person he is talking to, certain marked irrelevancies in his conversation.
I see. Do you remember any specific examples?
No. Well, he suddenly shouted, "What are you doing in the bathroom?" Then a bit later, when I was writing him a prescription, he said, "For God's sake, behave yourself."
How extraordinary. He often goes on like that, particularly when he's immersed in writing a book.
Now, I am not the least perturbed by this, but I do think a rest and a change would be a good idea.
Thank you, Doctor. Would you like a sherry or brandy?
No, we really must be going.
How is poor Edith?
Oh, she'll be all right in a few days. She's still recovering from her concussion.
It's funny, isn't it? That both your housemaid and your husband should fall down on the same day.
Well, yes, if you find that sort of thing amusing.
Of course I didn't mean it like that, Mrs. Condamine.
Ah, come, my dear, you are talking too much again as usual.
Oh, horrid George. Goodbye, Mrs. Condamine.
Goodbye.
I'll pop over in the morning and have a look at both patients.
Thank you so much.
Good night. Ah, well, how does it feel?
All right.
You know, it's only a slight sprain.
Is this damn sling really essential?
It's a wise precaution. Will keep you from moving your arm except when it's absolutely necessary.
I had intended on going into Folkestone this evening.
Oh, I think it would be much better if you didn't.
It's extremely inconvenient.
You can easily wait and go another night, Charles.
I can't stand another dreary evening in this house, Charles. It'll drive me dotty. And I haven't seen a movie in 7 years.
Let me be the first to congratulate you.
What's that, old man?
Charles, there! Try to be sensible, I implore you.
Sorry, I forgot.
Now, you can drive if you absolutely must, but carefully and slowly does it. Now, your gear change is on the right, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, then you can use your left hand as little as possible.
All right.
You'd much better stay at home.
Couldn't you drive them in?
I'm afraid not. There's lots to do in the house and there's Edith to be attended to.
Well then, I'll leave the two of you to fight it out amongst yourselves. But remember, if you do go, slowly and carefully does it. The roads are very slippery anyhow.
All right.
Come along, Violet.
Goodbye again. Goodbye, Mr. Condamine.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Oh, you really are infuriating, Elvira. Surely you could wait and go to the movies another night. Oh! Stop behaving like a schoolgirl. You're old enough to know better.
What?
I was talking to Elvira.
She isn't here.
Well, she was a moment ago. She threw a rose at me.
She's been rather high-spirited all day. I know this mood of old. It usually meant that she was up to something.
You're sure she isn't here?
Quite sure.
I want to talk to you.
Oh, God.
Master's important.
You've been behaving very well for the last few days. You're not going to start making scenes again, are you?
I resent that air of patronage, Charles. I've been behaving well, as you call it, because there was nothing else to do. But I think it only fair to warn you that I make no further guarantee for the future. My patience is being stretched to its uttermost.
As far as I can see, the position is just as difficult for Elvira as it is for you, if not more so. The poor little thing comes back trustingly after all those years in the other world, and what is she faced with? Nothing but brawling and hostility.
What did she expect?
Well, surely even an ectoplasmic manifestation has the right to expect a little of the milk of human kindness.
Milk of human fiddlesticks.
Well, that just doesn't make any sense.
Elvira's about as trusting as a puff adder.
You're granite, Ruth. Sheer, unyielding granite.
And a good deal more dangerous into the bargain.
This is ridiculous.
She's beginning to show her hand.
How do you mean, in what way?
This is a fight, Charles. A bloody battle. A duel to the death between Elvira and me. Don't you realize that?
Melodramatic hysteria.
It isn't melodramatic hysteria. It's true. Can't you see?
No, I can't. You're imagining things. Jealousy causes people to see the most curious illusions.
I'm extending every effort, Charles, not to lose my temper with you, but you are making it increasingly difficult.
All this talk of battles and duels.
She came here for one purpose and one purpose only, and if you can't see that, you're more of a fool than I thought you.
What purpose could she have beyond the natural desire to see me again? After all, you must remember she was extremely attached to me, poor child.
Her purpose is perfectly obvious.
How do you mean?
It is to get you to herself forever.
That's absurd. How could she?
By killing you off, of course.
Killing me off? You're mad.
Why do you suppose Edith fell down the stairs and nearly cracked her skull?
What's Edith got to do with it?
Because the whole of the top stair was covered with axle grease, cooked to stone it afterwards.
You're making this up, Ruth.
I'm not. I swear I'm not. Why do you suppose that when you were lopping that dead branch off the pear tree that the ladder broke? Because it had been practically sawn through on both sides.
But why should she want to kill me? I can understand her wanting to kill you, but why me?
You were dead to be her final triumph over me. She'd have you to herself forever on that damned astral plane, and I'd be left high and dry. She's probably planning some sort of spiritual remarriage. I wouldn't put anything past her.
Ruth!
Don't you see now?
She couldn't be so sly, so wicked. She couldn't.
Couldn't she just?
I grant you that as a character she was always rather light and irresponsible, but I never thought her capable of low cunning.
Perhaps the spiritual world has deteriorated her.
Oh, Ruth.
Oh, for heaven's sake, stop looking at me like a wounded spaniel and concentrate. This is serious.
What are we to do?
You are not let on that you suspect a thing. Behave perfectly, ordinarily, as though nothing has happened. I'm going to see Madame Arcadi immediately. I don't care how cross she has got to help us. Even if she can't get rid of Elvira, she must know some technical method of rendering her harmless. If a trance is necessary, she shall go into a trance if I have to beat her into it. I'll be back in half an hour. Tell Elvira I've got to see the vicar.
This is appalling.
I never mind that. Remember now, don't give yourself away by so much as a fifth and I need.
Look out!
What?
I nearly said it's a nice lookout.
What's a nice lookout?
The weather, Elvira. The glass is going down and down and down. It's positively macabre.
I find it difficult to believe at this particular moment that you and Ruth can't find anything more interesting to talk about than the weather.
Help me, Ruth. Help me.
I can't stand this anymore. I really can't.
Has she broken out again?
What did she say?
She asked if you'd broken out again.
How dare you talk about that, Elvira?
Then
Charles and I were not talking about the weather, as you so very shrewdly suspected, Elvira. I should loathe to think that we had any secrets from you. And so I will explain exactly what we were talking about. I was trying to persuade Charles not to go into Folkestone this evening. It would be bad for his arm, and he could perfectly easily wait to go to the movies another night. However, since he seems determined to place your wishes before mine in everything, I have nothing further to say. I'm sure I hope you both enjoy yourselves.
There now.
Charlie, have you been beastly to her?
Oh, she doesn't like being thwarted any more than you do.
She's a woman of sterling character. Pity she's so ungiving.
As I've told you before, I would rather not discuss Ruth with you. It makes me uncomfortable.
I shan't mention her again. Are you ready?
What for?
You're a Folkestone, of course.
I want a glass of sherry first.
I didn't believe you wanted to take me at all.
Of course I want to take you. But I really do think it would be more sensible to wait until tomorrow. It's a filthy night.
How familiar this is.
In what way familiar?
All through our married life, I'm here to make a suggestion for you to immediately start hedging me off.
I'm not hedging you off.
All right. We'll have another kiss and snapping nose like a terrier.
Ruth is perfectly aware that the table centre is hideous. It happens to be a birthday present for her mother.
There's no use defending Ruth's taste, me darling. It's thoroughly artsy-craftsy, and you know it.
It is not artsy craftsy.
She's ruined this room. Look at those curtains and an awful shawl on the bar.
Lady McKinley sent that to us from Burma.
Probably because someone sent it to her from Birmingham.
If you don't behave yourself, I shan't take you into Folkestone ever.
Please, Charles, don't be elderly and grand with me. Please, let's go now.
Not until I've had my sherry.
You are tiresome, darling. I've been waiting up for hours.
A few more minutes won't make any difference then.
Oh, very well.
Besides, the car won't be back for a half an hour at least.
What do you mean?
Ruth's taken it. She had to go and see the vicar.
What?
What on earth's the matter?
You say Ruth has taken the car?
Yes, to go and see the vicar, but she won't be long.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Elvira!
Go!
What on earth are you going on like this
Stop
for?
it!
What have you done?
Done? I haven't done anything.
Elvira, you're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
What are you in such a state for?
I'm not in a state.
You've done something dreadful.
No, Charles, I swear I haven't.
My God, the car.
Charles,
Ruth was right. You did want to kill me. You've done something to the car. What have you done? Answer me. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, speaking. I see. The bridge at the bottom of the hill. Thank you. No, I'll come at once.
Where? Of all the things that oh, stop it, Ruth!
Ruth! What are you talking?
I hope you do not consider this an intrusion, Mr. Quadri.
Of course not. Would you please sit down?
Thank you.
Would you like some coffee or a liqueur?
No, thank you. I had to come.
Yes.
I felt a tremendous urge, like a rushing wind, so I hopped on my bike and here I am.
It was very kind of you.
No, not kind at all. It was my duty. I know it strongly.
Duty?
I reproach myself bitterly, you know.
Please don't. There's no necessity in that.
I allowed myself to get into a huff with your late wife the other day. I rode all the way home in the grip of temper. I have regretted it ever since.
My dear Madame Arcati.
Please, let me go on. Mine is the shame. Mine is the blame. Had I not been so impetuous, had I listened to the cool voice of reason, so much might have been averted.
You told my wife very distinctly that you were unable to help her. You were perfectly honest. Over and above the original unfortunate mistake, I see no valid reason for you to reproach yourself.
I threw off the sponge. In demandment of prices, I threw off the sponge instead of throwing down the gauntlet. Oh.
Well, whatever you threw, Madame Arcati, I very much fear that nothing could have been done. It seems that circumstances have been a little too strong for us.
I cannot bring myself to admit defeat so easily. It is gall and wormwood to me. I could at least have concentrated, made an effort.
Never mind.
I do mind. I cannot help it. I mind with every fibre of my being. I have been thinking very carefully. I also have been reading up a good deal during these past few dreadful days. I gather that we are alone.
My first wife isn't in the room. She's lying down. The funeral exhausted her. I imagine my second wife is with her, but of course I have no way of knowing for certain.
You have remarked no difference in the texture of your first wife since the accident.
Yes, she's much as usual. A little under the weather, perhaps, a trifle low-spirited, but that's all.
Well, that washes that out.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Just a little theory I had. In the 19th century, there was a pretty widespread belief that a ghost who participated in the death of a human being disintegrated automatically.
How do you know that Elvira was in any way responsible for Ruth's death?
Elvira. Such a pretty name. It has a definite look to it, hasn't it? came to me in a blinding flash. I had just finished my Ovaltine and turned out of the lamp when I suddenly started up in the bed with a loud cry. Great God! I said. I've got it! After that, I began to put 2 and 2 together. At 3 in the morning, my brain seething. I went to work on my crystal ball a little, but it wasn't very satisfactory. Cloudy, you know.
I would be very much obliged, Madame Arcati, if you would keep any theories regarding my wife's death to yourself.
My one desire is to help you. I feel I have been dreadfully remiss over the whole affair. Not only remiss, but untidy.
I'm afraid there's nothing whatever to be done.
But there is! There is! I found a formula. Yes, here it is. I copied it out of Edmondson's Witchcraft at his byways.
What the hell are you talking about?
Plug up your heart, Mr. Courtenay. All is none of.
Now look here, Madame Arcati.
You are still anxious to dematerialize your first wife.
Of course I am. I am perfectly furious with her, but what? Well, you see, she's been very upset for the last few days. You see, apart from my being angry with her, which she always hated even when she was alive, Ruth, my second wife, hasn't left her side a moment. You must see that she's been having a pretty hard time, what with one thing and another.
Your delicacy of feelings earns you credit. But I must say, if you will forgive my bluntness, that you are damned fool, Mr. Courtenay.
You are at liberty to think whatever you please.
Now, don't get on your high horse. There's no sense in that, is there? I have a formula that I believe will be able to get rid of her without hurting her feelings in the least. It's extremely simple and requires nothing more than a complete concentration from you and a minor trance from me. I may be able even to manage it without lying down.
Honestly, I would rather not have
Charles!
What on earth's the matter?
What's she doing here?
She came to offer me her condolences.
They ought to be congratulations.
Please don't say things like that, Elvira. It is in the worst possible taste. Madame Arcati, allow me to introduce my first wife, Elvira.
How do you do?
What does she want, Charles? Send her away.
In what part of the room is she?
She's moving about rather rapidly. I'll tell you when and where she's settling.
She's the one who got me into this, isn't she?
Yes.
Well, will you tell her, please, to get me back again as soon as possible? I can't stand this house another minute.
Really, Elvira, I'm surprised at you.
I don't care how surprised you are. I want to go home.
Don't be childish, Elvira.
I'm not being childish. I mean it.
I smell ectoplasm strongly.
What a disgusting thing to say.
Where's she now? Are you happy, dear?
Tell the silly old bitch to mind her own business.
Was that journey difficult? Are you weary?
She's dotting.
Just a moment, Madame Arcati.
This is wonderful, wonderful.
Can you please get her in the other room? I've got to talk to you.
Madame Arcati.
Just a moment. I've almost have contact. I can sense it. I can sense it very much. Oh, this is magnificent!
Oh, don't be a spoiled sport, Elvira. Give her a bit of encouragement.
If you promise to get her in the other room.
All right.
Yes! Again! Oh, but this is first rate. It really is first rate. Absolutely stunning.
I'm so glad you're pleased.
Please get her in the other room. Ruth will be in a minute.
My dear Madame Arcati, would you think it most frightfully rude if I asked you to go into the dining room for a few moments? My first wife wishes to speak to me alone.
Oh, must I? It's so lovely to be actually in the room with her.
Just for a few moments. I promise you'll be here when you get back.
Very well. Will you get my bag? It's over there. Oh, you darling. You little darling. Oh. There you go.
Do you really think she'd have any talent at all?
I don't know.
What, do you think she could get me back again?
Oh, my dear child.
Don't call me your dear child. It's smug and submissive.
There's no need to be rude.
The whole thing's been a failure. a miserable, dreary failure. And what high hopes I started out with!
You can't expect any sympathy from me, you know. I'm perfectly aware that your highest hope was to murder me.
Don't say it like that. It sounds so beastly.
It is beastly. It's the beastliest idea I've ever heard.
There was a time when you'd have welcomed the chance to be with me forever and ever.
Your behaviour has shocked me immeasurably. I had no idea you were so unscrupulous. Oh, stop crying.
Oh, they're just ghost tears. They don't mean anything, but they're very painful.
You brought all of this on yourself, you know.
That's right. Rub it in. Anyhow, it's only because I loved you. The silliest thing I did in my whole life was to love you. You were always unworthy of me.
That remark comes perilously near impertinence, Elvira.
There I was on the other side, longing for you and thinking of you day after day, all through your affair with that grassy-looking woman in the south of France. I went on loving you and thinking truly of you. Then you married Ruth. And even then, I tried to understand, because I really believed deep down that you truly loved me best. That's why I put myself down for a return visit and filled in all those forms and stood about in draughty passages for hours. If only you died before you met Ruth, everything might have been all right. She has absolutely ruined you. I hadn't been in the house a day before I realized that. Your books aren't a quarter as good as they used to be either.
That's entirely untrue. Ruth helped me and encouraged me with my work, which is damn sight more than you ever did.
That's probably what's wrong with it.
All you ever did was go to parties and enjoy yourself.
Why shouldn't I enjoy myself? I died young, didn't I?
But you needn't have died at all if you hadn't been idiotic enough to go out on the river with Guy Henderson and get soaked to the skin.
No, so we're back at Guy Henderson again, are we?
You behaved abominably over Guy Henderson, and it's no use pretending that you didn't.
Guy adored me, and anyhow, he was very attractive.
You told me very distinctly that he wasn't attractive in the least.
I lied. Besides, if I had, you would have gone through the roof.
Did you have an affair with Guy Henderson?
I would rather not discuss it.
Answer me. Did you or didn't you?
Of course I did.
You let him kiss you, though, didn't you?
How could I stop him? He was bigger than I was.
And you swore to me.
Of course I did. You were always making scenes over nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
You never loved me a bit, really. It was only your beastly vanity.
You seriously believed that it was only vanity that upset me when you went out on the punt with Guy Henderson?
It was not a punt. It was a little launch.
I don't care if it was a three-masted schooner. You had no right to go.
You seem to forget why I went. You seem to have thought you'd spend the entire evening making sheep's eyes with that overblown harridan with the false pearls.
A woman in Cynthia Cheviot's position would hardly wear false pearls.
They were practically all she was wearing.
I'm pained to see that 7 years in the echoing vaults of eternity have in no way impaired your native vulgarity.
That was the remark of a pompous ass.
There is nothing to be gained by continuing this discussion.
You always used to say that when you were thoroughly worsted.
On looking back now on our marriage years, I see now with horrid clarity that they were nothing but a mockery.
You invite mockery, Charles. It's something to do with your personality.
Once-
A certain seedy grandeur.
Once and for all, Elvira.
Oh, you never suspected it, but I laughed at you steadily from the altar to the grave, all your ridiculous petty jealousies and fussings and fumes.
You were feckless and irresponsible and morally unstable. I realized that before we left Budley Salterton.
Only a monumental bore would think to have a honeymoon at Budley Salterton.
What's the matter with Budley Salterton?
I was an eager young bride, Charles. I wanted glamour and music and romance. All I got was potted corns, 7 hours a day on a damp golf course, and a 3-piece orchestra playing Merry England.
It's a pity you didn't tell me so at the time.
I did, but you weren't listening. That's why I went out on the moors that day with Captain Bracegirdle. I was desperate.
You swore to me that you'd gone over to see your aunt in Exmouth.
It was the Moors.
With Captain Bracegirdle.
With Captain Bracegirdle.
I might have known it. What a fool I was, what a blind fool. Did he make love to you?
Of course.
Oh, Elvira.
Only very discreetly. He was in the cavalry, you know.
Well, all I can say is I'm well rid of you.
Unfortunately, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am. You're dead and, oh, Ruth's dead. I shall sell this house lock, stock, and barrel and go away.
I shall follow you.
I shall go a long way away. I shall go to South America. You'll hate that. You always were such a bad traveler.
It can be helped. I shall have to follow you. After all, you called me back.
I did not call you back.
Well, somebody did. It's hardly likely to have been Ruth.
Nothing in the world was further from my thoughts.
You were talking about me before dinner that evening.
I just might as easily have been talking about Joan of Arc, but that wouldn't necessarily mean that I wanted you to come and live with me.
As a matter of fact, she's rather fun.
Stick to the point.
When I think of what might have happened if I'd succeeded in getting you to the other world, it makes me shudder. It does, honestly. Nothing but bickering and squabbling forever and ever and ever. I swear I'll be better off with Ruth. At least she'll find her own set and not get in my way.
So I get in your way, do I?
Only because I was idiotic enough to think that you loved me. And I sort of felt sorry for you.
I'm sick of all these insults. Please go away.
There's nothing I should like better. I've always believed in cutting my losses. That's why I died.
Of all the brazen sophistry!
Call that old girl in it again. Set her to work. She's got to get me out of this.
Oh, for heaven's sake, don't start snivelling.
Call her in. I want to go home.
I quite agree, and the sooner the better. Madam Arcati.
Is the darling still here?
Of course she is.
Where? Tell me where.
On the settee, snivelling like a child.
Oh, my dear, my dear.
Stop her from fawning on me, Charles, or I shall break something.
Elvira and I have discussed the whole situation, Madam Arcati, and she wishes to go home immediately.
Home?
Wherever she came from.
You don't think she would like to stay 2 days long?
No, I want to go home now.
We are both agreed that she must go immediately. Please strain every nerve, Madam Arcati. Make every effort. You said something about a formula. What was it?
Well, you insist.
I most emphatically do insist.
Oh, Johnny!
Now stop crying!
I can't guarantee anything, you know, but I'll try my best. It may not work.
What is the formula?
Oh, it's nothing more than a little verse, really. It fell into disuse after the 17th century. I shall need some pepper and salt.
There's pepper and salt in the dining room. I'll get it.
Yes. We really ought, of course, to have some shepherd's water and a frog or two, but I think I can manage without. You won't be frightened, dear, will you? I mean, it's absolutely painless.
Will this be enough?
Oh, yes, I only need a little. Put it there on the table. Oh, yes, please sprinkle it, will you? Just a soupçon there, right in the middle. Yes, yes.
This is going to be a complete flop, I can tell you that here and now.
We also shall need some snapdragons out of their bellies.
Merlin used to do this thing at parties all the time, bored us all stiff with this.
Oh. Now for the gramophone. Of course, in the old days, they used the zither or reed pipes. We'd better have the same record we had before, I think.
Whatever you think best, Madam Arcati.
Oh, if only that Mr. Emsworth at the Psychical Research could see this, he would have a fit, he really would. Nevertheless, rest your hands on the table, Mr. Conway, but do not put your fingers in the pepper. Yes, I shall need the lights. You shots. I've nearly forgotten. Yes. one triangle, one half circle, one little dot. Yes.
This is a waste of time. She's a complete fake.
Anything's worth trying.
I want her to succeed as much as you. Don't make any mistake about that, but I'll lay you 10 to 1 it's a dead failure.
Would you now be kind enough to ask your wife to lie down on the sofa?
Go on, Elvira.
This is sheer nonsense. Don't blame me if I get the giggles.
Concentrate, think of nothing.
That's right, quite right. Legs extended, hands to the sides, breathe steadily. One, two. Is she comfortable?
Are you comfortable, Elvira?
No!
She's quite comfortable.
I shall join you in a moment, Mr. Cornderbean. I may have to go into a slight trance, but if I do, pay no attention. I shall now stop the gramophone, and away we go! Lies.
Oh, Jesus, remember?
Damn!
Hold tight, concentrate. Ghostly spectre, ghoul or fiend, nevermore be thou convened. Shepherd's thought and holy right, banish thee into the night.
What a disagreeable little bird.
Be quiet, Elvira. Shh.
Is there anyone there? Is there anyone there? 1 rap for yes, 2 raps for no. Is there anyone there? Ah, good stuff. Is that you, Daphne? I'm so sorry to bother you, but Mrs. Cornderbean wants to return. Stop it there yourself. Did you hear what I said? Can you help us? Oh, time! You're trying to break!
Madam McCarty! Are you all right? Madam McCarty! Let me go! What on earth is going on? Madam McCarty, are you hurt?
No, she's run one of her damn tracks again, and I'm here as much as ever I was.
For God's sake, wake up!
Oh, leave her alone. She's having a whale of a time.
Wake up, Madam McCarty. There you go. There you go. Come on.
Oh, if I ever do get back, I'm going to strangle that bloody little Daphne.
Wake up. There.
What happened?
Nothing at all.
Oh, yes, indeed.
You
Something happened, all
You
right.
fell over, that's all that happened.
Is she still here?
Of course she is.
Something must have gone wrong.
Make her do it properly, Charles. I'm sick of being messed about like this.
She's doing her best.
Something happened. I sensed it in my trance. I felt it. It shivered through me.
Once and for all, Charles, what the hell does this mean? Well, we've done all we can. I must say I couldn't be more exhausted.
It'll be daylight soon.
That clock's always irritated me. It strikes far too slowly.
It was a wedding present from Uncle Walter.
Who's Uncle Walter?
Elvira's.
Well, all I can say is he might have chosen something a little more decorative.
If that were really all you could say, Ruth, I'm sure it'd be a great comfort to us all.
You can be as rude as you like, Elvira. I don't mind a bit. Besides the fact, I should be quite surprised if you weren't.
Why?
The reply to that is really too obvious.
I wish you two would stop bickering for just 1 minute.
This has quite possibly been one of the most frustrating nights I've ever spent.
The reply to that is pretty obvious, too.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Now, look here, Elvira.
We have to stay together in this house indefinitely, and it looks unpleasantly likely. We shall have to come to some sort of an arrangement.
What sort of an arrangement?
You're not staying indefinitely in this house.
With you then. We shall have to be with you.
I don't see why. Why don't you take a cottage somewhere?
You called us back.
I've already explained, until I'm blue in the face, that I did nothing of the sort.
Matt Marcotti said you did.
Madam McCarty's a lovely old fool.
I could have told you that in the first place.
I think you're behaving very shabbily, Charles.
I don't see what I've done so wrong.
We all agree, as Elvira and I are both dead, it would be both right and proper for us to dematerialize as soon as possible. That I admit. However,
complaining.
We've stood up. We've lain down. We've concentrated. We've sat interminably while the tiresome old woman recited most unflattering verses at us. Oh, we have been taught 5 seances. We've watched her fling herself in and out of trances until we were dizzy. And at the end of it all, we find ourselves exactly where we were in the beginning.
Well, it's not my fault.
Be that as it may, the least you could do is to admit failure gracefully and make best of it. Your manners have been boorish to a degree.
I'm just as exhausted as you are. I've had to do all the damn table tapping, remember?
If she can't get us back, she can't. That's that. We shall have to think of something else.
She must get you back. Anything else is unthinkable.
It's gratitude for you. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Gratitude?
Yes, for all the years we both devoted to you. Isn't it right, Ruth?
What about all the years I devoted to you?
Nonsense. We waited on you hand and foot. You're exceedingly selfish and always have been.
Well, in that case, I fail to see why you were so anxious to get back to me.
You called us back! And you've done nothing but try to get rid of us ever since we came, hasn't he, Elvira?
He has.
And now, due to your idiotic inefficiency, we find ourselves in the most mortifying position. We're neither fish, flesh, nor fowl, nor whatever it is.
Good red herring.
Golly.
Why don't you do something about it? Why don't you go back on your own?
We can't. You know perfectly well that we can't.
There must be somebody on the other side who could help you.
I don't know. I've only been there for a few days. Ask Elvira.
I've already told you it's no use. The impetus has got to come from here. Perhaps Charles doesn't want us to go as much as he thinks.
I most certainly do.
Oh,
Then you must have a very weak will. I always suspected it.
it's no use in arguing any longer. Wake up, Madame Marcotte.
Oh, not another seance, please.
Please, wake up, Madame Arcati.
Shake her.
We might upset her.
I don't care if it kills her.
Oh, wait.
Please, wake up, Madame Arcati.
What time is it?
10 past 5.
What time did I go?
Over an hour ago.
Very curious, very curious. Forgive me for a moment. I must make a note of this for my diary. Are they still here?
Of course they are.
Oh, how disappointing.
Have you any suggestions?
We mustn't give up hope. Chin up, never give in. That's my motto.
The schoolgirl phraseology is driving me mad.
Now then.
Now then what?
What do you say? We have another seance. And this time really put our shoulders to the wheel. Make it a real rouser.
Not another seance, I beg of you.
Madame Arcati, don't you think we've had enough seances? After all, they haven't achieved much, have they?
Rome wasn't built in a day, you know.
I know it wasn't, but
Very well. We mustn't give up hope at this very moment.
now listen, Madame Arcati. Before you go off into further trances, I really do think we ought to discuss the situation a little.
Good, an excellent idea. And while we're doing it, I shall have enough of these delicious sandwiches. I'm as hungry as a hunter.
Would you like some more beer?
No, thank you. I probably shouldn't.
Very well. I'll have a small whiskey and soda.
Make it a double and enjoy yourself.
One of these days I intend to give myself the pleasure of telling Madame Arcati exactly what I think of her.
She's doing the best she can.
Are the girls getting despondent?
I'm afraid they are, rather.
We'll win through yet. Don't be downhearted.
If we're not careful, she'll materialize a whole hockey team.
Now then, Mr. Woodby, the discussion. Far away.
Well, my wives and I have been talking it over, and they are absolutely convinced that I somehow or other called them back.
Very natural.
I am convinced that I did not.
Love is a strong psychic force. It can work untold miracles, Mr. Cordery. A true love core can encompass the universe.
I'm sure it can. But I must frankly confess that although my affection for both Elvira and Ruth is of the warmest, I'm afraid that I cannot feel that it would come under the heading that you describe.
I should just think not, indeed.
Well, you may not know your own strength, Mr. Corderby.
I did not call them back, either consciously or subconsciously.
Mr. Corderby.
That is my final word on the subject.
Neither of them could have appeared unless somebody, a psychic subject in the house, wished for them.
Well, it wasn't me.
Perhaps it was Dr. Bradman. I never knew he cared.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
Absolutely positive.
Great Scott! I believe I've been barking up the wrong tree!
How do you mean?
The Sunbury case!
I'm afraid I don't understand.
There's no reason why you should. It was before your day. I wonder. Oh, I wonder.
What was the Sudbury case? I wish you'd explain.
It was the case that made me famous, Mr. Corderby. It was what you might describe in theatrical parlance as my first smash hit.
What did you do?
I dematerialized old Lady Sudbury, who had been firmly entrenched in the private chapel for over 17 years.
How can you remember how?
Chance! A fluke! I have been ordered by the merest coincidence.
What fluke? What was it?
What a good time. Now, let me see. Who was in the house the night of our first seance?
Only the Bradmans, Ruth, and me and yourself.
Yes, to be sure. But the Bradmans weren't here last night.
No.
Yes, my crystal, quickly.
Here you go.
The damn thing gives me the bill. It's foggy again. Oh, yes, that's better. Yes. It's there again! It's there again!
What's there again? I wish you'd explain.
A bandage. A white bandage. Hold on to a white bandage.
I haven't got a white bandage.
She's too good. She ought to be in the circus.
Be you in nook or cranny, answer me. Be you in still room or closet, answer me. Be you behind the panel, above the stairs, beneath the eaves, waking, sleeping, answer me. Oh, that's all to do with what I'm a Dutchman.
Do what?
Oh, for God's sake, don't let her throw any more garlic about. I was nearly sick last night.
Do you want the gramophone on or the lights on?
No, it's near. It's very near.
If it's a ghost, I shall scream.
I don't know. No, I shouldn't be so silly. Did you ring, sir? What?
The bandage, the white bandage.
No, Edith.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I thought I heard the bell or somebody calling. I was asleep. I don't rightly know which it was.
Come here, child.
Oh,
Go on. Don't imagine our coffee. It's quite all right.
Whom do you see in this room, child?
oh dear.
Answer, please.
You, madam?
Go on.
The master?
Anyone else?
Oh, no, madam.
Look again.
Please, sir, I don't understand.
Come, child, stop bleating about the bush. Look again.
Do keep still up here like that.
Do you see anyone else now?
Oh, no, madam.
She's lying.
Oh, madam!
They always do.
They?
Where are they now?
By the bar. Oh!
You can see them. Do you mean she can see them?
Probably not very clearly, but enough.
I haven't done nothing to see nobody. I want to go.
Get out
back.
there.
I don't want to sandwich. I want to go back.
Here,
Yes, my dear. There we go, like you. The most delicious sandwich I never heard of such a thing. Sit down.
Please.
Please do as Madame Arcotti says.
I haven't done nothing wrong.
It's all right, Edith. Nobody said you had.
If she's the cause of all this unpleasantness, I shall give her a week's notice tomorrow.
You may not be here tomorrow.
Look at me. Cuckoo. Cuckoo. Cuckoo.
Oh, dear, what's the matter with her? Is she balmy?
Here, look, Edith. This is my finger. Have you ever seen such a long finger? Now it's on the right, now it's on the left. Backwards and forwards it goes. See? Quietly. Backwards and forwards. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock.
Hickory dickory dock, the mouse run up.
So far, so good. She's all right.
Off?
She's a nap. Just the same as the Sudbury case. It really is the most amusing coincidence.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's going to work, whatever it is. Charles! This is goodbye, Charles.
Oh, stop a minute. There's something I want to say.
You should have thought of that before. It's too late now.
Of all the mean, ungracious things,
Charles, wait a
I
moment.
swear.
I saw Captain Bracefield in Charles several times. I went to the 400 with him twice when you were in Nottingham, and I must say I couldn't have enjoyed it more.
Don't think you're getting rid of us quite so easily, my dear. You may not be able to see us, but we shall be here all right. I consider that you have behaved atrociously over the whole miserable business, and I should like to say here and now.
Splendid! Hurrah! I think we did it. That's enough singing for the moment, Edith.
Shall I put on the lights?
No, I will.
They've gone. They've really gone.
Yes, I believe we actually did it this time.
Shouldn't you wake her up? She might bring them back again.
Wake up, child.
Oh, good heavens, where am I?
It's all right, Edith. You can go back to bed now.
But it's morning.
I know it is.
I was in bed. How did I get down here?
I rang, Edith. I rang the bell and you answered, didn't I, Madam Markhardy?
Oh, did I drop off again? Do you think it's my concussion holds here?
Off you go, Edith. And thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh, sir, whatever for...
Sir!
What on earth did she mean by that?
Golly, for tonight. I'm ready to drop in my tracks.
Would you like to stay here? There's the spare room, you know.
Oh, no, thank you. Each to his own nest. I'll pedal home in a jiffy. It's only 7 miles.
I'm deeply grateful to you, Madam Markhardy. Let me help you here. I don't know what arrangements you generally make, but I trust that you'll send your account over in due course.
Good heavens, Mr. Cordamine. I wouldn't dream of such a thing.
But I really feel that all those chances...
I enjoyed it. Always have thoroughly, ever since a child.
Well, perhaps you'll give me the pleasure of lunching with me one day soon.
When you come back, I would be delighted.
Come back?
Take my advice, Mr. Cordamine. Go away immediately.
But, Madam Marcotte, you don't mean
This
that...
must be an unhappy house for you. There must be memories of bread and game in every corner of it.
Also what?
There are more things than heaven and earth. Pack your traps and go. Go as soon as possible.
Do you mean that they may still be here?
Quien sabe, as the Spanish say.
I wonder. I'll take your advice, Madam Marcotte. Thank you again.
Goodbye, Mr. Cordamine. It has been fascinating from first to last. Fascinating. Do you mind if I take one more sandwich to munch on the way home?
By all means.
And one's left.
Yes.
No, thank you. I can find my bed. Cheery home once more, and happy hunting.
Elvira? Ruth? Are you there? Elvira? Ruth? I know damn well you're there. I just want to tell you that I'll be going away, so there's no point in you hanging about any longer. I'll be going a long way away. Somewhere where I don't believe you'll be able to follow me. In spite of what Elvira said, I don't think spirits can travel over water. Is that quite clear, my darlings? You said in one of your more acid moments, Ruth, that I'd been hag-ridden all my life. How right you were. Now, I'm free, Ruth dear. Not only free of Mother and Elvira, but free of you too. And I should like to take this farewell opportunity of saying, I'm enjoying it immensely. I thought so. You were very silly, Elvira. Vera, to think that I didn't know all about Captain Bracegirdle. I did. But what you didn't know was that I was extremely attached to Paula Westlake at the time. I was reasonably faithful to you, Ruth, but I don't think it would have lasted much longer. You're becoming increasingly domineering, you know, and there's nothing more off-putting than that, is there? Goodbye again, my darlings. I expect that we shall meet again someday soon, but until we do, I'm going to enjoy myself like I've never enjoyed myself before. You can break up the house all you like. I'm leaving it anyhow. Think kindly of me and send out good thoughts. Oh, nice work, Ruth.